Hello, welcome to the latest hashtag for the kids, our SDH Youth Soccer show. My name is Jason Longshore, and my guest today will be Simon Davey, the Executive Director at the Southern Soccer Academy, SSA. Before we get to Simon, this is the week that most high schools around the state of Georgia have had their tryouts. Most schools have picked their teams either yesterday or today, and from what I'm hearing, and this is all anecdotal, the numbers are pretty large in terms of students trying out for their high school teams. And this is both boys and girls. I had the chance today to go over and visit Mandrell Perryman's South Cobb girls team. And the boys team also sat in. I had a chance to talk to both teams this afternoon. And you know, the excitement for high school soccer has grown so much in the state of Georgia. And at times it feels like it's detached from the youth soccer scene. It feels like it's its own universe. You know, we know that the U.S. Soccer Development Academy players don't play high school. I don't have as big of a problem with that as some do. You're talking about a very small number of players who are not having that high school experience. High school soccer is something that I thoroughly enjoyed. I have enjoyed being a part of the GHSA state finals over the last 3 years. Looking forward to doing it in 2020 as well. The high school game is thriving. The high school game is in a great place right now. And you're going to have good quality players come out of the high school game. That's a fact. You're going to have players that go on and play in college after being high school stars. We see it every year. But most importantly, I think you're going to have a lot of players who are playing this season in high school ball in Georgia go on and be those next coaches, those next administrators, those next fans of the game. It's such an important part of the soccer spectrum, and it's the one that maybe gets talked about and focused on the least. We're excited to announce here at Soccer Down Here that we'll be doing a high school game of the week in Georgia for the 2020 season. Hopefully starting on February 4th, the first week of the season. A lot of Tuesdays during the season. Stay tuned to the full schedule as it comes out. But really looking forward to heading up to Blairsville in April and seeing Union County. Union County was a team that made the 2A boys final last year, and I'll put my hand up and say I knew nothing about soccer in Blairsville going into that match. You know, we knew the roster, we knew what they had done during the season, didn't know anything about the style of play, didn't know anything about what this team's personality would be like. And they were so impressive because they played the game in a very different way than a lot of high school teams you see. Very possession-based, very technical, a lot of fun to watch. They played a 3-4-3, and it was a great match for them. They ended up not winning in the title match, but they get a chance to try to get back there, and we'll be up to call one of their matches against East Hall in April. We'll hopefully have the full schedule very soon. If you guys out there have potential sponsors for our high school game of the week, please let us know. The email is soccerdownhere@gmail.com. You can also send us a message at soccerdownhere on all your social media platforms. You can reach out to me directly at Longshoe. Talked high school. We talk a lot of college in the Soccer Down Here universe, and we'll be talking about that pathway from high school to college, from club to college, a lot here on hashtag for the kids. Another element that links into the youth game that it sometimes is separate is what happens to those players who come through a club and go on and play in college, but in the summer, they'd like to play and represent their club. Hasn't been something that's really happened very much in the state of Georgia. Other parts of the country, you see those U23 teams in the summer attached to the same youth clubs that these players played at. That club identity goes all the way through, and you have the over 30 teams and the over 40 teams at clubs that players feel connected to their club for their whole life in soccer. SSA is trying to create an element of that with launching a USL League Two team and a WPSL team in 2020. Had a chance to talk to Simon Davey, their executive director, about that and about his time at SSA. And here's Simon.
Yeah, so I am an ex-professional soccer player in England. Played for 3 different pro clubs. Played for Swansea City, Carlisle United, Preston North End. So I had a career of 12 years playing. Finished through injury when I was 28. That led me into the coaching role. I had an offer from David Moyes, who went on obviously to be manager of Manchester United and Real Sociedad, and now manager back at West Ham. We played together at Preston. He appointed me as director of youth for the pro club at Preston North End. So that was my introduction into coaching. Did 7 years as the head of youth, director of youth at Preston North End. Then moved across to the Yorkshire area of Britain and took on a role of academy manager, similar role in Barnsley Football Club that were also in the same division, the Championship division, the one below the Premier League in England. Took that role up, and within 3 months, as the environment always seems to happen in the United Kingdom, manager got fired, had an indifferent start to the season, and I was asked to take the role of head coach for Barnsley in the Championship. Did it on an interim period for about 6 weeks, then was offered the full-time role and became a manager there and head coach for close on 3.5 years. Moved on to Darlington and Hereford, so basically did 3 different clubs over a span of maybe 5 or 6 years as a head coach in the pros. And while I was doing that, I did some consultancy, spent a bit of time in the US doing the conventions, was asked to do clinics and stuff all over the States. I did some in Michigan, did some in New York, did some in Nashville, and stumbled across a couple of contacts that were looking for somebody with my profile in a club in Atlanta. The club was obviously SSA, and they were forming a super club in terms of clubs that were local to form one big club. So they went from 3 clubs to one club, with the forming of SSA through Cobb FC, Kennesaw FC, West Metro FC. And they'd already merged the year before with West Georgia. So it was becoming 4 clubs. That was in 2012. Fast forward to now, we are basically 10 clubs into one called Southern Soccer Academy, with 10 different divisions and a growth of 2,000 to now close on 8 to 10,000, depending on what season in our recreational program. And that's the background. That's basically where I came from, what I did in England, played, managed, coached, and then did obviously the consultancy stuff and clinics, and then was offered a role in Atlanta, and I've been here now for 8 years and really enjoying it.
Before injuries cut your playing career a little short, were you starting to think about a career in management or administration? Had that really crossed your mind at that point?
Actually, I hadn't. The only coaching I had done at 17-year-old, when I was at Swansea, we did an entry-level coaching course. So I did that, and then I used to do some community outreach into schools as a player. But with the injury, cutting my career short at 28, when most people say at 28, 27, you're in your peak, it was a shock. and it was, okay, what am I going to do now? I have a family. What do I do in my next stage of my career? And David Moyes must have seen maybe something in me that he felt that it was maybe some leadership qualities that I could transfer that into the coaching spectrum. And I studied then for that minute when I stepped onto the coaching field, taking those youth teams. I did coaching qualifications for the next 7 years, every year till I got my UEFA Pro license in 2000, I believe it was 2005.
How would you compare the process you went through to go from the beginning of your licensing to the UEFA Pro? And I know that their process has changed. The process here in the States has changed a lot. How would you compare navigating that to what young American coaches have to face now?
The first thing I would say is that I run a club with 350, 400 coaches, and you can coach on a weekend if you don't have a license in America.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In England, that's never heard of. So the education and the schooling you have to go through and the vetting is of a higher standard at entry level. Then every course is lengthy. So if you talk about a pro license, UEFA Pro license, that's a 2-year course. The A license before that is a 1-year course, but it has residential pieces throughout that year. So for the final 3 years, you're literally doing 3 years education. You're writing dissertations, you're studying abroad, you're doing visits to pro academies in different countries, and you every 6-8 weeks, you're at a residential for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. So the intensity of the coaching course and the content is of a huge and high level. So when you get into the pro license, you are an elite coach. You have got an A license, but now can you deal with the board? Can you deal with media? Can you deal with the social aspects of bringing players in? And I brought players in at Barnsley from 13 different countries. So can you deal with the family life, the psychology of coaching, the coaching behaviors of players, and how to manage. So you deal with different things at the top level. And I'm not sure at the moment in the US whether I think they're in the right direction with they do have a pro license now. I've not been on it, obviously, because I went through the UEFA Pro. So I would hope that's where the standards they're taking are from what I did in 2005. And then every 3 years from there on, I have to do a refresher. So I fly into the United Kingdom, do a 5-6 day refresher to revalidate my license. So they're big on education, they're big on licensing, and have been ever since I finished when I was 28.
What have you taken from that and added or supplemented the U.S. soccer process for your coaches at SSA?
To be fair, that the experience of what I did, I've played, so there's an experience there. Coached at U4s and overseeing curriculums at U4, overseeing a curriculum at pro with international players. So there's a spectrum there where that can be transferred into our U4 program, our 5s, our 6, and now obviously taking a USL and WPSL, the experience of already been working with adults, I can bring that knowledge and experience to the program as a full, on a holistic way of looking at it. I think they're two different models. Obviously, you have the pay-to-play model here, and you have the elite model in the UK. There are synergies in certain aspects. Soccer is soccer. Developing players is developing players. Giving a curriculum and making sure that players that's age appropriate doesn't change. Parents change, environment changes, activities, different sports. In the UK, you've got soccer and you've got soccer. In the US, we have players that want to play American football, want to play baseball, want to play basketball, and are good at it, and rightly so. So we have the different outside influences, so we have to adapt in a different way. But we do coach education with our staff, and I draw on my experiences to help with that. But we send staff to European clubs. As next Tuesday, we take 10 staff to Atletico Madrid and Malaga in Spain to study what they do in their academies, what they do in their women's program, what they do in their men's program at that level. Last year we were at Chelsea. The year before that we were at Chelsea. The year before that we were in Italy, in Chievo. So I think I can give knowledge and I can help, but I think the value-added experience of the up-to-date methods in Spain, in Italy, in England are crucial to supplement licensing in the US. So my staff can always have a broad spectrum of all different cultures and different coaching methodology that is going to enhance their delivery and their content when they're working with the kids.
Yeah, and when you're dealing with a club as large as SSA, you mentioned Super Club, like that's a unique thing, at least in Georgia. I think maybe around the country you've seen a few before SSA. But how has it been for you to not just take your coaching experience and your licensing experiences and bring it to your club, but then to try to ensure as much consistency as possible across such a large spectrum that SSA has?
Yeah, that would be one of the biggest challenges we had at the outset. 5, 6, 7 years ago, you are taking 3 clubs into 5, into 7, into 10 that have DOCs, executive directors, have had a way of working, have a way of teaching the kids, and to get that all in tune together was difficult at first. We find it a lot easier, and I think your most important signings as a leader is your staff. And what we've done, we've brought those directors of coaching into our way of thinking, our philosophies. This is the SSA way. This is what we expect. These are the standards. This is a curriculum. These are what we're looking for in traits of players, and making sure that the right people are in the right fit for the right roles. And staff have moved on, staff have moved up within the organization, and staff have changed roles within the organization so that we can try and have the right fit for the right role to make us successful. And that, for us to be successful, that is the most important thing for me, is to make sure that that guy or that girl is in the right role so she can be successful. And if she's successful, the kids will be successful, and then the club becomes successful. So it's just getting everybody singing off one sort of hymn sheet, and we work well together.
What's impressive is having a club that size. You mentioned you can elevate people as they rise up the ranks. You have that ability to do that. Now you've added a couple new projects to add another level up on top, with USL League Two come into the club and WPSL, the women's equivalent, come into the club. What went into the decision to add those senior teams to the club?
Well, first and foremost, we wanted the top of our development pyramid. So we have strived to do this for many years, and we've always discussed, we have a recreational program. We have staff that go into schools. We have futsal. We have academies from 9 to 12. We have the link between academy and rec, which is PDA, our Player Development Academy. Then we have our select programs. We've then gone and had DA and have a partnership with another club with ECNL, and we have all these programs. But the top of the pyramid, what most people want is it a pro club? Is it an adult? Is it an elite? So for us to take two franchises in a USL League Two, a WPSL. We wanted to give back and have something to focus at the top of our U19s and above. So you look at our signings coming in with the girls. 50% of them at the moment are alumni that have come through SSA. They're kids that have been with us from 10, 11, 12, gone into our high-level programs, gone on to go to college, done well at college, gone to really good schools, and are coming back to us, one either to progress their career to maybe go on to a pro level, or maybe a better college, or even just to come back and be part of SSA. And we're proud that we can add that into the program, but give back to the community so that we've got players that when they come in at SSA, they see a pathway. I want to be an SSA there. Even if I leave and I do well and go to college, I want to be able to come back and support or even play for that club at that level.
It's an important element, and it's something that a lot of youth clubs in the United States are starting to think about and starting to figure out how to do it. So now that you're going to have teams playing in summer leagues and having, trying to draw a fan support and trying to have, your media around it, for a youth club, that's not something that has generally been part of the mix for you. How is that process going so far?
That's the challenge. As you say, it's easy having an Atlanta United and MLS, and you 77,000 crowds, and you're like, wow, they've changed the landscape in the area, and for the better. It's been fantastic. Their introduction of the MLS program. As a club, you're always looking at how could we emulate what they do, and could we do it? We have a base with 8,000 kids, equating to 16,000 parents. We have to create a buzz within our own programs first and foremost, so that our younger kids can walk out with the teams, can be ball girls, ball boys, can be on the field, have academy nights, have select nights, have girls' nights, boys' nights with the club, and try and create that community feel that it's the summer. Yes, we're off. We're not playing in our normal leagues, but can you support the program? Can you support the alumni kids? Look what you can be in 4 years' time. Look what Lainey Steed is at Florida. She's been with the club since she was 11, 10-year-old. Now she's coming back to us and playing. Can you support her? Can you get a picture with her and create that family feel? And it's tough. It'll be a lot of social media. It'll be a lot of going out to local businesses for sponsorship. That is what we haven't done in the past with the youth club, not had to do.
Right.
But now we're on a different level. So it's different skills, and I have to look at different people and help with social media and stuff like that. And it's a challenge, and year one will be a challenge for us. But we've got a good base, and we've got a good infrastructure. We've got good staff. We have a good board of directors, and with some fantastic families. And if we can connect it all together, we believe we're onto a winner with the group.
Yeah, it's an element that I'm sure feels natural to you with your background, where you have kids who come up playing at the club and they aspire to be on that senior team, on that, if it's a professional team, if it's a lower division team, whatever it is, they aspire to be there, and they're going to be the ones that might initially get that buzz from this, whether it's the recreational players, the PDA players, the players who are kind of on the way up, and their families, they're the ones who might get that first real boost from these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we have to make sure that our 8-year-olds, our 10-year-olds are communicated what the USL Kings are, we have to link that player to the community, and hopefully we're going to try and do maybe some homestays. Originally, on the outset, we were going to Atlanta-based players, alumni kids, but the amount of interest we have at the moment for players coming in from Brazil, from England, from France, it's been astonishing. And even just college players that are from those countries, that they need a place to stay. They need somewhere if they're going to play and continue their development through the summer programs. They need that. So we're going to reach out to families about homestays and try and also bring the community in and do camps with them and stuff like that. So it's a whole program, a summer program, where it's not just a game on a Friday night. It'll be, can you meet the players? Can you be involved in an SSA Kings camp? Would you house an international player, and your daughter, your son can lead the players out, lead the team out, be part of the ball girls, and it's a big project, and we have some great staff, and all the staff that are on these programs are current in-house staff as well. So we've not gone outside. We've got staff that are dual roles. One's a academy director, then he's the head coach for the women. We got the men's coach is also the MPL director for the club, who's doubling up as the head coach. But all have had experience in doing this before. So we're excited. We're quietly confident that the staff we have are the right staff in the right place for this to be a really successful franchise for both men and women.
It's exciting to see, and this is kind of the missing piece that you guys have had for so long. You have pretty much everything in place that any club around the world would be looking for. What is it that you want to add in the coming years? How does SSA grow from here?
That's an interesting one. You're right. We have everything for the girls. We have everything for the boys. We have elite programs. We have now at top of the pyramid. I think sometimes you have to just draw a line and go, okay, let's make this the best we can and be the best at USL League Two. I don't think we have aspirations to go League One. I think that's a step too far. We're in the process of redeveloping one of our facilities at Marathon Park, where year one we will play out of North Paulding High School. Year two we will have lights, changing rooms, bleachers, a stadium feel at our current complex, which is Marathon Park, which all the community will have access to throughout the year. You're looking at these programs, they're May, June and July. Our seasons for everybody else are September through May. So they're all going to have access to these facilities. So it's creating a professional, semi-professional club with an infrastructure that's already there and making it the best we can.
The growth of soccer in this area has been really exciting for me, somebody who's grown up here and watched Select become a thing, let alone all the different levels now. I want to ask you one more question. It's something that's come up this week on our Soccer Down Here show, talking about loans and players being loaned out and how beneficial that can be. You're the perfect person to ask about this because it came up today. You experienced David Beckham's loan at Preston North End while you were there, and how that kind of helped him in his career at that moment. What was it like for him, from your perspective, coming to a smaller club than where he was at, but getting minutes that he wasn't getting at the time? How important do you think that was in his long-term development?
It's crucial. In anybody's development, it's crucial to sample different environments, but also David Beckham wasn't ready for Manchester United at that period of time. Mm-hmm. But he needed an experience at an adult level where it mattered to win games on a weekly basis. So dropping him down into a Preston North End, which was a big club, but playing in the lower level leagues, and in an environment where he's now have to fight for his place, has to fight against grown men that are going home with salaries to look after their kids, and it meant something to them, rather than in an academy where everything's nice and rosy. Everything's, could you have done this? Could you have done that? Don't worry, you've lost the game, but you did develop. Everybody needs that winning mentality where you learn how to beat a man, how to beat people that have been doing it 5, 6, 7 years. That's their livelihood. And even when I was a manager in England, the loans I had were crucial. I took a player on loan that was playing for West Brom, couldn't get in their first team, couldn't get in their reserve team, was struggling in his in the reserves, took him as a goalkeeper and played him the following week against Liverpool at Anfield, and his career just went bang from there. Sometimes people need the right environment to flourish. Sometimes you get stale in environment, so there's different reasons for loans. Sometimes there's a player that is in your position that is the captain, is a player it's got 3 years left in his career, that's in your position, so you're not going to step in at that time in that club. But by going somewhere else, it ignites your career. And if you can loan somebody out and give them an experience, it's only going to enhance their development. Whether it's a good coach they're going to, a bad coach, a small club, a big club, it's a learning environment. And it's a different environment. And sometimes it's a reality check. You go there and, they don't wash your kit there. Oh, what do you mean you have to clean your own boots? Well, and that's, I remember David would come and he would come in his car and, at Man United, they'd have everything done and then we'd be giving him his kit. Well, the kit guy would be giving him his kit and he'd have to go home and wash it. You wouldn't have to do that at Manchester United. But sometimes it's a humbling experience. Sometimes it's a reality check. Well, I'm not as good as I think. I need to work harder. I need to do a bit more. I need to work in the afternoons a bit more. Or sometimes it's like, I tell you what, I am a good player because I can flourish in this environment. And when you go back, and you kick on. And there's a perfect example in Davey. He came to us, spent, I think it was eight weeks with us, went back to Manchester United, and the rest is history.
It's part of the process, and
it is.
Thank you so much for a little
bit
of
Harry
that
Kane.
insight.
Look at Harry Kane.
Absolutely.
Harry Kane went to 4 or 5 different clubs and was never successful at those clubs. Comes back to Tottenham, where he was brought through the ranks and captain of England. Another one.
Happens a lot. I think it's starting to happen more in the United States. And I think, from both the player perspective, but also the fan perspective, that there's value in these kinds of moves. And I think it's something that we'll see a lot more in the coming years. Yeah.
Just need to get them to loan them out to my USL for no money.
Hey, maybe that can happen in the future.
Yeah.
We will see.
You never know.
Simon,
know.
Thank you so much for the time. I really, really appreciate it. I'm sure we'll be catching up again, and I'm sure we'll be talking USL League Two and WPSL this summer.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you.
Thanks again to Simon Davey for taking the time out of a busy week to talk to me about SSA and everything going on with USL League Two and WPSL and just the overall growth of the club. Also, thanks for the insight on the loan situation. No news yet on the Andrew Carlton potential loan to Indy 11. I think it could be a good thing, a good change of scenery, a good opportunity to go to a club with a winning mentality, a manager that has done a good job in developing players, and also a club where maybe the expectations are a little bit different. Maybe it's a different, bit of surroundings that help unlock the talent that we've seen in Andrew Carlton. One other player from Atlanta United, this one's from the academy, that has been recognized for his talent is 15-year-old Efrain Morales. He is going to take part on an 8-day training experience with Manchester United. He was identified by Manchester United at a winter showcase, and he's going to get an opportunity to head over and train with their academy. 6'2", strong tackler, good passer, excellent technical ability, makes good decisions, according to Tony Annan. He's a player who, according to Annan, is ahead of where George Campbell was at this age. George Campbell was a bit of a late bloomer who had an unbelievable year last year with Atlanta United 2, playing on an academy deal, so much so that he earned a MLS contract, and he is starting training camp this week with Atlanta United as a first-team player alongside fellow homegrown player George Bello. Morales is 15, could be one of those players down the road, and he was one of the first members of Atlanta United's academy at the U12 level. He was there in day one with that U12 team, now going through getting recognized by Manchester United, showing the potential of a professional academy, showing the potential of having this full range of programming. And whether it's USL League Two, whether it's WPSL, whether it's NPSL, UPSL, you're starting to see clubs in Georgia get very creative in how they market themselves, how they differentiate themselves, and the opportunities that they offer to their players, both on the boys and the girls side. That's only going to continue. You know, nobody has a lock on the one way to get everything done correctly. Nobody's got that. Everybody has different ideas. For some, one club might be a perfect fit. For others, that club might not be the fit, and the other club across town or down the road might be the better fit. You never know. It's exciting to see the overall growth and the number of different opportunities in the youth game in the state of Georgia. It's only going to continue to grow on both the boys and girls side. We'll be talking about all of it here on #4thekids. If you have ideas for topics, if you have interview suggestions, please let us know. Tweet at us at Soccer Down Here. Give us a heads up. Thanks for listening. We'll have more content coming for you very soon. Thanks for supporting Soccer Down Here, and thanks for supporting the kids and families out there playing.